Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रामा जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रामा जय राधा गोविंद जय राधा गोविंद जय राधा गोविंद जय राधा गोविंद जय पंच तत्व जय पंच तत्व जय पंच तत्व जय पंच तत्व जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय षड गोस्वामी जय षड गोस्वामी जय षड गोस्वामी जय षड गोस्वामी जय गुरु परंपरा जय गुरु परंपरा जय गुरु परंपरा जय गुरु परंपरा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the beautiful kirtan. It was very nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji's.
Kirtan with you. Are you able to hear Prabhuji's Mataji's? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Very clear.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you for joining on a Saturday. So we'll start with the Mangala Charan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtapraeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Tapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrashabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamcha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad. So we are starting a very inspiring as such, so many chapters, almost all of Srimad Bhagavatam, each and every part is very nectarian. But within those cantos and those chapters, there are few very special verses of Srimad Bhagavatam which are immortal. As such, every word of Srimad Bhagavat is immortal, but these special verses are immortal in the sense they have been quoted by so many acharyas, so many number of times, including Shukadev Goswami, subsequent acharyas, and even in talks of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So, like we will see, revisit some of the important verses that we saw in the previous chapters. But even today's chapter has one such very important verse, which you would have probably heard referred to many number of times, and which continues to inspire generations of devotees from all walks of life to take up Krishna consciousness. So it is our great fortune that we are getting a chance to do a deep dive into these discussions by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit Sutta Goswami to Shaunakadi Rishi, so on and so forth. So let's quickly go through a little bit of the background for this particular chapter. 1 second. So we will start with one quotation by our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada from one of his writings. So I will request devotees who would like to read or recite, keep your hands raised, and we will request devotees one by one. All right. Tarini Krishna Kanta Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, you can unmute. Are you able to see the complete screen unhindered by the photos and all?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, you can read loudly, clearly, and slowly.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Panchanga pranams, Prabhuji.
Mm.
Srila Prabhupada Uvacha, the adherent devotee is always protected by the Supreme Lord. Thus, even if one falls down from the path of Bhakti Yoga, one is ultimately saved. If a devotee is strongly situated in devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has promised to protect him. Kaunteya Pratijanahi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. But even if a devotee circumstantially falls down, he is protected by Madhava. The word Madhava is significant. Mother Lakshmi, the mother of all opulences, is always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if a devotee is in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the opulences of the Lord are ready to help him. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Bhagavad Gita 18.78. Wherever there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his devotee Arjuna, Partha, there is victory, opulence, extraordinary power, and morality. The opulence of the devotee are not a result of karma kanda vichara. The devotee is always protected by all of the Supreme Lord's opulences, of which no one can deprive him. Tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Thus, a devotee cannot be defeated by any opponents. A devotee, therefore, should not deviate knowingly from the path of devotion. The adherent devotee is assured all protection from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 10.2.33 purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Very good. Isn't it very inspiring purport, Prabhuji's Mataji? In fact, I had taken a larger part of it where Srila Prabhupada gives examples of 3 devotees who at different point in time apparently had some sort of fault in some way or other. But because, as the last line of this purport says, the adherent devotee is assured all protection from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So because devotees were adherent devotee means one who sticks to devotional service in all walks of life, whether in good condition or in difficulties as well. They don't give up Krishna consciousness. Such a devotee is always protected by the Lord. And these examples of 3 devotees Srila Prabhupada gives in this purport are Maharaj Chitraketu, who, because of some understanding with Mother Parvati, he had to take the body of a demon. Or Gajendra, who was previously a great devotee Maharaj Indradyumna, and because of some circumstantial arrangement, he got a body of a elephant, an animal. And Srila Prabhupada gives example of Maharaj Bharat, who, because of attachment to a deer, subsequently got the body of a deer and then took another birth as a dumb man who he was a normal person born, but he acted like a dumb man just to be careful to not get attached to the outside worldly activities. So Srila Prabhupada explains how all these personalities were subsequently helped by the Lord and they did achieve salvation. So Krishna always protects a devotee. That is a message. And one more statement which I found very inspiring. It is all the opulences of the Supreme Lord, because he is called Madhava, that means the husband of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. All the opulences of the Supreme Lord are there to help such an adherent devotee, provided he stays loyal to the Lord's devotional service. So a devotee is always protected. There is a very nice statement, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. That means if we follow the religious principles in all walks of life, even in difficult circumstances, we don't give them up, then those same principles of religion will protect us when we need them the most. They won't let us fall down. So with this, let us start our discussion with some background revision. So I would flip through slides back and forth. Don't get confused, just to have a continuity in discussion. So we see the background to this first part of second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. At the end of canto 1, Parikshit Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, the frame just froze and I was disconnected for last 2-3 minutes. I don't know whether it is a common problem. If it is a common problem, Prabhu, I request you to please repeat what you have said, because we missed entirely. I missed entirely.
Okay. Do other devotees also had any issue Prabhuji, Mataji, did you have
No,
any?
no, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
That's okay for us.
No, Prabhuji.
See, Prabhuji, you can watch the recording once, Prabhuji. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. I will. That's what I said.
Hare Krishna.
If it is not a common problem, please go ahead.
So the background to this particular discussion in Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see two specific questions asked by Maharaj Parikshit. So first question that was asked by Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadev Goswami was, what are the best things, best activities for everyone in all walks of life, and especially for one who is about to die? That was the first question. And second question was, what sort of activities one should hear about, chant, remember, and what one should not hear about, chant, and remember. And in the beginning of Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Shukadev Goswami answering the second question first. So he mentions how, he explains the Grahamedi way of life, how for a person who is not sure or focused about the ultimate goal of life, there are thousands of items for discussion for a Grahamedi. And however, for a person who knows the ultimate goal of life, for him, the ultimate object for hearing, for chanting, and for remembering is the Supreme Lord. So, now this is a question for all the devotees. If we were to be asked, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, based on what we have discussed and studied till now in Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1 and 2, and you can refer to your notes, you can refer to Srimad Bhagavatam cantos, what would probably constitute the essence of Shukadev Goswami's thoughts to Maharaj Parikshit? Any specific verse anybody would like to quote? And maybe devotees can lower their hands and raise when they have structured their thoughts and want to answer this particular question. So all of you got the question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? So
No, Prabhu.
okay, I will repeat the question. Based on what we discussed till now in the two chapters, which is the first step in God realization, and second is the Lord within the heart, Paramatma. Based on these two particular chapters, whatever discussion we saw by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit, if we were asked to describe the essence of Shukadev Goswami's teaching to Maharaj Parikshit based on these two particular chapters, how would we describe it by any one verse? Okay, or what is our understanding? So I would request devotees maybe to take a minute to structure their thoughts and then raise your hands. Anyone who would like to answer, and don't worry, even if you just remember English, that is also fine. You can refer to Srimad Bhagavat if you want to quote any specific verse. Okay, but what is the essence of Shukadev Goswami's teaching so far? So let me see who all have raised hands. Only one devotee, we should have more. Okay, two. Maybe I would ask devotees who have not raised at all. So please be ready. Everyone, please try. Don't worry. Even if you say chant Hare Krishna and be happy, we will not call it a wrong answer. But everyone should at least try to skim through the verses, skim through the points you have noted down, and try to answer. It is very, very purifying doing revision of Srimad Bhagavatam teachings.
Can I try, Prabhu?
Yes, P.S. Murthy Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Yes, Prabhu. The Prabhupada has beautifully said in the slide you have put the last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Sanjay Uvacha Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanudhara Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhute Dhruvani Tirma. It exactly sums up everything, Prabhu.
Okay, okay. And do you refer to this particular verse in reference to Shukadev Goswami's teachings in the first two chapters of Canto 2?
Then Prabhu, then if you include 922, that also that is the 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 it sums up probably everything.
Okay, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, that verse you are.
Ananyasyantayanto mam kechana pariyupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Murthy Prabhuji. So we'll request few more devotees. Usha Mataji, Hare Krishna, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, what is being told to us is that the only way to get out of this suffering from the material world and go to the reach the lotus feet of the Lord is through sadhana bhakti only.
Yes,
Yeah,
and verse.
and sadhana bhakti is practiced by hearing, by remembering, and by glorifying the Lord. And by doing so, there are two benefits that we can accrue. One is purification of ourselves, and the next is the attainment of the Lord's lotus feet. So this is the conclusion from chapter chapter 2 of Canto 2.
Thank you, Usha.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mataji basically referred to text number 33 of chapter 2, where Shukadev Goswami gives his conclusion how, according to his opinion, sadhana bhakti is the best. And he says that this is not just my conclusion, dear Parikshit Maharaj, but this is also the conclusion of great personalities like Lord Brahma, who has studied Vedic scriptures many number of times. Minimum 3 number of times he has revisited and revised all the Vedic scriptures. And this is a conclusion of great personalities like Lord Brahma. So this is what has been shared by Usha Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Mangala Mai Shri Prada Mataji, please unmute. Hare Krishna. You can unmute Mangala Mai Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, constant chanting is of the holy name of the Lord is the sure way to success for the liberation, Prabhuji. That point also.
Yes, that is a very important point.
Very important point. And the other one, highest perfection of human life is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life.
Yes, very nice, Mangalamai Mataji. So specifically, Shukra Goswami covers 3 types of personalities. One type of personalities who have managed to transcend all the material desires, or those which are full of material desires, or even great devotees of the Lord who are above all these classes. So Shukadev Goswami mentions for all these classes of people, personalities, chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the sure shot way to perfection. So maybe we'll request few Prabhujis. Murli Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Unmute Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Murli Prabhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can you
Yes.
hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I was thinking of verse 6 of the Canto 2, Prabhuji, where which we mentioned as a one for the where we say that it is we should be concentrating on the Lord who is stated in everyone's heart at all the times. Yeah. So I don't remember the full verse, but it says that one should keep one must do service to the Lord who is situated in everyone's heart. Yeah. And he's eternal, unlimited. Yeah. And that should be the ultimate goal for anyone who is for all the nimitta matras. Okay. That is what.
Thank you. So coming back to this discussion that we were having, we see that Shukadev Goswami basically gives answer to these two questions, starting with the second question first, which is what should not be heard, what should be heard. And then Shukadev Goswami upfront mentions how bhakti is supreme for all classes of people, including those who have got desires, those who have given up material desires, or even bhaktas who are totally dedicated to fulfilling the will of the Lord. Etan nirvidya mananam. So this verse is very important. As such, there are many verses that are important, and many of you quoted few. Like first verse is, it is Lord Krishna only who should be uh, heard about, chanted about, and remembered. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma. And then that famous verse 2:1:11, Etan Nirvidya Mananam, for all classes of people, how even within devotional service, the Navavidha Bhakti, according to Shukadev Goswami, how chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the sure short way to perfection. And then what Usha Mataji mentioned, text number 33, how sadhana bhakti for all classes of transcendentalists to achieve perfection, according to Shukadev Goswami, according to Lord Brahma, sadhana bhakti is the most auspicious path for perfection, and there is nothing else which can beat it. So this is how Shukadev Goswami explains. And then later on we saw, as we progressed in uh, first chapter of Canto 2, how Parikshit Maharaj, he had totally accepted Shukadev Goswami as a pure devotee, as the representative of the Lord, who had appeared, who was sent by Lord Krishna just to enable him to prepare to perfect his life. So definitely with this conclusion alone that Shukadev Goswami gave in the beginning of chapter 1, even before explaining the other parts of of Ashtanga Yoga practice, Parikshit Maharaj could very well would have accepted this particular conclusion by Shukadev Goswami in terms of text 5, 6, and 11 of chapter 1 of Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. But he did not, just as a good teacher, he did not want to mention something, give something to his student without substantiating it properly. And as a result, we see the rest of the chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukadev Goswami covers various other paths to explain how structurally, how systematically, if we analyze, Bhakti Yoga still stands supreme based on the authority of so many great personalities like Lord Brahma and all, and based on Shukadev Goswami's own example. He gives his own example also, how he was a Jnani previously, and he did also take up to path of devotional service subsequently. So going back a little bit, now we will see the slides. If we, one second. If we see the 64 various angas or limbs of devotional service that are given by the predecessor acharyas, specifically Rupa Goswami, and who has taken it from his spiritual master, Srila Sanatan Goswami, and who was taught this knowledge by none other than the Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So Rupa Goswami explains the 64 angas of devotional service in Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu. We have all studied as part of the Bhakti Shastri. Out of these 64 limbs of devotional service, the first 5 limbs specifically deal with taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and following his instructions, serving his instructions. So in the life of Maharaj Parikshit, we see that he had totally surrendered himself to such a pure representative of the Lord, Shukadev Goswami, in all these 5 accepts. all these 5 aspects. That means he had accepted Shukadev Goswami as his spiritual master, and then he was wholeheartedly like a sponge, learning from him whatever he was speaking in terms of devotional service to Supreme Lord Krishna, obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion, following the footsteps of the great Acharya. So, time and again, we do see Shukadev Goswami mentioning uh, the competent authorities, referring to the competent authorities like predecessor acharyas like Lord Brahma or Guru Shishya Parampara, and explaining that how it is not just his opinion but also the opinion of the great acharyas who have been through. And then inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. So we see Parikshit Maharaj sincerely inquiring from Shukadev Goswami the queries he had in terms of what is the topmost good thing to do for all people in all walks of life, especially one about to die, and what should people in general hear about, chant, and remember, and what they should not do. So, all these 5 aspects of 64 limbs of devotional service we see in practice in the life of this great personality, Maharaj Parikshit. And there is also one beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam related to these specific angas, just that some of the terminology Srila Prabhupada gives in Sanskrit. So we'll request one devotee, Shama Gopika Mataji, you want to read through this, Mataji?
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. To become fixed in devotional service, one has to become completely cleansed from the contamination of the material modes of nature. For work in devotional service, the first item is Adav Guru Ashrayam. One should accept a bona fide spiritual master, and from the bona fide spiritual master, inquire about one's transcendental occupational duties, Sadharma Pricha, and follow in the footsteps of great saintly persons, devotees, Sadhu Marga Anugamanam. These are the instructions given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. The conclusion is that to increase the attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to accept a bona fide spiritual master and learn from him the methods of devotional service and hear from him about the transcendental message and glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, one has to increase his conviction about devotional service. Then it will be very easy to increase attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 4:22-22 purport. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So if we notice carefully, Prabhujis and Matajis, all these Sanskrit terms, including Adav Guru Ashrayam, Sat Dharma Prucha, and Sadhu Marga Anugamanam. These are exactly the same points that we saw in the earlier slide, which are the first 5 limbs of the 64 limbs of devotional service given by Rupa Goswami. And they all, the first 5 of the 64 limbs, they deal with taking shelter of following the instructions and following the path shown by the authorized representative of the Lord. And there are so many verses in the scriptures to substantiate this point, that how the mantra, it has special potency when it is given by the spiritual master through to the disciple through the process of initiation. So this process of accepting a spiritual master, dedicating one's life to him, and following his instructions is a very, very important path to achieve success in Krishna consciousness. There are many verses, like even there is one verse which Srila Prabhupada quotes very often to say that this mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, has a special potency when we receive it from a bona fide spiritual master coming in the line of disciplic succession. So Parikshit Maharaj, following the true duty and following the true duty and role of a disciple towards such a spiritual master, Shukadev Goswami is manifesting all these characteristics of an ideal disciple. So after covering these two paths for the Ashtanga Yoga practice, one for directly achieving the Supreme Lord by meditating upon him in the form of Paramatma, in the form as a super soul, and then indirect path of achieving the same Supreme Lord, the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, through the process of Krama Mukti, step-by-step liberation through the meditation on the Virata Rupa. So we see Shukadev Goswami explaining in detail the path of Ashtanga Yoga through both these two sub-verticals, subcategories within the Ashtanga Yoga. One for somebody who is totally free of material desires, and second for somebody who is still harboring some desires for material enjoyment within his heart, how these personalities can ultimately achieve perfection in their life, namely the impersonal liberation. So similarly, earlier he also covers the path that is followed by the Gyanis with the same ultimate goal that they want to pursue, which is the impersonal liberation, merging into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord. Now, in this particular chapter, chapter number 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami covers another class of people who want to achieve different perfections in their life through a very quick fix method. Like, just like the example is given, say for example, in a house where the electrical fitting is there, we see the electrical board where there are so many switches. So say for example, there are multiple fans, tube lights, and other electrical appliances. So if we want to switch on fan number 1, we would switch on the corresponding switch. If we want to switch on any different fan or any particular light within the house, then we would switch on that particular switch. So similarly, Shukadev Goswami, in order to cater to these people who, compared to the devotees of the Lord in terms of their intelligence, they are still at a lesser stage of intelligence, but still in order to cater to these personalities, Shukadev Goswami gives a very detailed description of which Devata to render worship unto to get a very specific material benefit. He gives a complete catalog in text number 2 to 7. Shukadev Goswami explains in great detail, and even later text in text number 8 and so on and so forth. He gives a very detailed list of which Devata to worship to get a specific kind of material facility. But then, similar to the earlier paths that Shukadev Goswami has covered, mainly the path of Jnana in brief and Ashtanga Yoga in detail, Shukadev Goswami gives his own conclusion that ultimately, according to him, how the path of pure devotional service can cater to even these classes of people who apparently may be less intelligent to ask for material benefits. But Shukadev Goswami gives his recommendation. Even if a person does desire material benefit, how he or she would benefit greatly if they undertake the path of devotional service, if they undertake the path of worshipping the Supreme Lord Krishna, even to fulfill those material desires. And we would see few verses how dealing of Lord Krishna with such persons who desire material benefits from him is different than simply fulfilling their material desires. Krishna fulfills their material desires, no doubt, but he also does a permanent fix for these devotees who have got material desires, so that gradually they achieve perfection in their life. And which is the typical famous example that comes to our mind, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, for such a person who approached Krishna for material desires? Anyone?
Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj, yes. So his example is quoted by Srila Prabhupada as part of that 4 types of pious people who come to surrendered to Lord Krishna in chapter 7:15, that he comes under the category of Artharthi, who wanted material benefits, but still his conclusion was that when actually he achieved the darshan of Lord Vishnu, he said that, my dear Lord, I have become Krutartha, I have become totally satisfied by getting your darshan. I no more want those material desires that I earlier possessed. But Krishna purified his heart and still fulfilled those desires anyway. So point is, Krishna does both a temporary fix that is needed to fulfill the devotee's immediate desires, plus a permanent fix so that the devotee perpetually doesn't remain in this material world. So we have a set of very nice, inspiring verses for our discussion given by Shukadev Goswami. So let us start with the recitation of the text number 1. Any devotees have any questions, comments, Prabhujis, Matajis, based on this background that we discussed? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. We were discussing in the Bhakti Vriksha some verses, and then this question came up like, Lord Brahma, like, because some devotees have this, I mean, I think in the last class you have discussed that Lord Brahma is, there is no death in Satyaloka or something like that, because what I understand is like even Lord Brahma is subjected to the four miseries, right? All the people, yeah.
So what we discussed was there is definitely death, but because the lifespan is so long compared to people, that living beings living in Martya Loka on the earthly planet, the life there seems very, very long. It is as good as Amara. It is as good as no death at all. But ultimately, there is also end to Brahma Loka as well, and Brahma also has to die. Just that there are no two in between miseries. There is no old age, there is no disease, but there is definitely birth and there is definitely death. Is that
Okay.
okay?
Yes, Prabhu. And Prabhu, when Lord Brahma dies, is it like, some places it is given that they go in the same body to the Vaikuntha, or I'm not sure about that. So I need some clarification. Yeah.
There are definitely few historical references to personalities who went to the spiritual world in the very same body, including Santa Tukaram and all. Specific to Lord Brahma, I will have to check my knowledge.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
So let us start with text 1. In fact, the title of this particular chapter itself I found very inspiring. Pure devotional service, the change in heart. So based on the discussion we just had, the background to this particular chapter, can we speculate or guess, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, whose change in heart probably Srila Prabhupada is talking about? Because he is the one who has given this title to this chapter. Whose change in heart Prabhupada may be referring to, probably? Yes, Mahesh, Prabhuji?
Maybe the previous two chapters talked about the yogis, the two different type of transcendentalists who
So,
have been.
yeah, so is referring to persons who have got different material desires to fulfill. How their change in heart happens when they approach Lord Krishna for their fulfillment of material desires. Okay, we will see it in specific verses, specifically text number 9 and 10 we will see. But this title is given by Srila Prabhupada, Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. That means how such persons carrying the material desires, even their heart gets transformed. How Krishna is very expert in transforming the heart of such persons as well, and benefiting them eternally, not just temporarily, what they desire. So let us start with the recitation of the verses. We'll request devotees who have not recited Gita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
Yeah.
Shri Shuka Vacha.
Shri Shuka
Uvacha.
Evametan Nigaditam
Evam
Prashta Prushtavan yad bhavan mama.
पृष्टवान् यद् भवान् मम
Nunam yan mriyamananam.
नाम जन्म्रियमाणानां
Manusheshu manishinam.
मनुष्येषु मनीषिणाम्.
So
Translation.
translation, we see Shukadev Goswami is referring to Maharaj Parikshit by using a very specific word, Manishina. And he's saying that, my dear King Parikshit, if you think you are a Manishinam, that means if you are a very intelligent person, then till now, based on the questions that you posed me, which were the questions? Nunam yan mruyamananam. That what is the duty overall for everyone in general and specifically of a man who is about to die? I have answered these questions, my dear Parikshit. Prushtavan yat bhavan mama. Whatever questions you have posed, especially relating to duty of a man who is about to die, I have answered those questions, and I have also given a hint that is required for Manishina, for persons who are intelligent. These people, these personality, they don't like to be taught ABC. They can just be given a hint and they would understand what is the essence. That is the meaning of Manishina, very intelligent class of people. So if you think you are one of them, then based on your questions, I have already given that hint. And what is that hint, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Based on the earlier two chapters, the conclusion by Shukadev Goswami in chapter number 2, text 33 onwards. That was his conclusion, that although so many other paths I have described, my dear Parikshit, according to me, according to Shukadev Goswami, the ultimate beneficial path is to serve and worship Lord Hari through the process of sadhana bhakti that Lord Brahma also has endorsed. So, Gita Mataji, please read through the translation.
Translation. Shri Shukadeva Goswami said, Maharaja Parikshit, as you have inquired from me as to the duty of the intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you.
Yeah, purport.
Purport. In human society, all over the world, there are millions and millions of men, millions and billions of men and women, and almost all of them are less intelligent because they have very little knowledge of spirit soul. Almost all of them have a wrong conception of life, for they identify themselves with the gross and subtle material bodies, which they are not, in fact. They may be situated in different high and low positions in the estimation of the human society, but one should know definitely that unless one inquires about his own self beyond the body and the mind, all his activities in human life are total failures. Therefore, out of thousands and thousands of men, one may inquire about his spirit self and thus consult the revealed scriptures like Vedanta Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. But in spite of reading and hearing such scriptures, unless one is in touch with the realized spiritual master, he cannot actually realize the real nature of self, etc. And out of thousands and hundreds of thousands of men, someone may know what Lord Krishna is in fact. Shall I continue?
Continue.
Okay. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 20.122 to 123, it is said that Lord Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, prepared the Vedic literature in the incarnation.
Sorry, we lost you, Gita Mataji. Rohini Mataji, can you want to read? Continue.
Yes, Prabhuji. The literature in the incarnation of Vyasadeva for reading by the intelligent class of men in a human
The evolutionary evolutionary cycle of 84 billion species of life. The intelligent class of human being must take a serious note of this opportunity. Not all human beings are intelligent, so the importance of human life is not always understood. Therefore, Manishinam, meaning thoughtful, is particularly used here. A Manishinam person like Maharaja Parikshit must therefore take to the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna and fully engage himself in devotional service, hearing, chanting, etc. of the holy name and pastimes of the Lord, which are all Hari Katamrita. This action is especially recommended when one is preparing for death.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you.
Shukadev Goswami is specifically referring to Maharaj Parikshit as a very intelligent person, Manishinam. So if he is really a Manishinam, then he should take to the conclusion what Shukadev Goswami described at the end of that discussion, at the end of chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. And yeah, so now he is going to explain about other classes of people. So Gyanis are done, Ashtanga Yogis are done. Now he is going to describe or cater to the people who have so many various material desires, and in order to fulfill those material desires, they want to take a shortcut path, which is path of Devata worship. So who all Devatas they can worship for a specific set of desires to be fulfilled. So this is a long list of verses. Let me see. Yeah. So probably we can directly go through the translation. And yeah, so let me request someone. Vandita Mataji, you are comfortable, Mataji, to read the translation?
Yes, One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal
One second.
Brahmajyoti.
Vandita Mataji, have you logged in using two devices? Okay, let me request. Mahesh Prabhu.
She has logged in from two devices. That's why this.
It is echoing. Mahesh Prabhu, you want to quickly read through the translation, please?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: one who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence should worship the master of the Vedas, Lord Brahma or Brihaspati, the learned priest. One who desires powerful sex should worship the heavenly king Indra. And one who desires good progeny should worship the great progenitors called the Prajapatis. One who desires good fortune should worship Durga Devi, the superintendent of the material world. One desiring to be very powerful should worship fire, and one who aspires only after money should worship the Vasus. One should worship the Rudra incarnations of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero. One who wants a large stock of grains should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain the heavenly planets should worship the sons of Aditi. One who desires a worldly kingdom should worship Vishwadeva. And one who wants to be popular with the general mass of population should worship the Sadhya demigod. One who desires a long span of life should worship the demigods known as Ashwani Kumaras. And a person desiring a strongly built body should worship the earth. One who desires stability in his post should worship the horizon and the earth combined. One who desires to be beautiful should worship the beautiful residents of the Gandharva planet. And one who desires a good wife should worship the Apsaras and the Urvashi society girls of the heavenly kingdom. One who desires domination over others should worship Lord Brahma, the head of the universe. One who desires tangible fame should worship the personality of Godhead. And one who desires A good bank balance should worship the demigod Varuna. If one desires to be a greatly learned man, he should worship Lord Shiva. And if one desires a good marital relation, he should worship the chaste goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we see here the whole catalog of Devata worship is given, which particular Devata is responsible for fulfilling specific desires which one may want to fulfill if they are worshipped in the given manner. And this particular worship is, the word used is worship. It is not, the word used is not devotion. It is not used as devotional service. Why? Because whether there is devotion or not in the case of devatas, as long as a particular path of worship is followed, as long as a particular ritual of worship is followed, the specific devatas are bound to give the results. So for a normal materialistic person who has got specific set of desires to be fulfilled, this path seems very attractive. That means it is a sure short way to get perfection uh, by following step by step procedure of A, B, C, D, E. Whereas when it comes to devotional service, while it is for the pleasure of Krishna and everything, ultimately nobody can force Krishna that I render you this particular service. Now you must give me what I want now, immediately, the way I want. That is not how the devotional service works. So for a materialist, the path of Devata worship may seem very attractive because it is a very straightforward path with the step-by-step procedure that is given, whom to worship, how long it will take, and what benefits you will get. That has clearly been demarcated. So we will read a part of the purport and then we go deep dive into discussion. Prabhuji, maybe you can read the highlighted part.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, purport. The real problem of life in the material world is to solve the question of birth, death, old age, and disease. No one wants to change his birthright. No one wants to meet death. No one wants to be old or invalid. And no one wants diseases. But these problems are solved neither by grace of any demigod nor by the so-called advancement of material science. Shukadeva Goswami said that out of the 8.4 million species of living entities, the human form of life is rare and valuable. And out of those rare human beings, those who are conscious of the material problems are rarer still. And the still more rare persons are those who are conscious of the value of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which contains the messages of the Lord and his pure devotees. Haribol. But Parikshit Maharaj has been addressed by the Goswami as the Manishi, or the man of highly developed mind, because at the time of death he left all material enjoyment and completely surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing his messages from the right person, Shukdev Goswami. But aspirations for material enjoyment by endeavoring persons are condemned. Such aspirations are something like the intoxication of the degraded human society. Intelligent persons should try to avoid these aspirations and seek instead the permanent life by returning home back to Godhead. Haribol.
Thank you. Thank you. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the very inherent problem that lies in trying to fulfill these material desires. Because although the catalog seems very attractive that this worship you do and this particular benefit is straight away available, it is not as simple as it seems. Because fulfilling these material desires through the devatas will incur a considerable amount of karma phala, will incur a considerable amount of reactions, and will keep a person bound in this material world for a very, very long period of time. And also it is mentioned for the material desires to be fulfilled. Problem is one doesn't get how much material enjoyment that one wants. Even if one gets, it remains temporarily. There are so many examples of personalities. Like one example which comes to mind is of a king who was very much attached to one of the apsaras of the heavenly planets, Urvashi. His name was Pururava. And this particular personality, it is explained that he did a particular sacrifice because there was a set of conditions ABC that were put by Urvashi for him to enjoy her. And if any of those conditions was breached, then Urvashi was to go back to the back to the heavenly planets. And Pururava, because Indra arranged a particular circumstance in such a way that Pururava happened to breach that one particular condition, and Urvashi went back to heavenly planets, back to Indra's abode. And Pururava was so disconsolate, he was so like feeling sad and separation from Urvashi that he conducted a specific sacrifice, ultimately achieving the darshan of none other than Lord Vishnu himself. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport the characteristics of a less intelligent man. Why? Because Pururava, even after getting the darshan of Lord Vishnu, whom he could have asked for love of God, whom he could have asked for a permanent residence in the spiritual world, what Pururava asked? Pururava asked for the same desire that he had harbored earlier, which was the company of this heavenly damsel, Urvashi. And Lord Vishnu did not get upset, neither he discouraged Pururava. He said, Tathastu, may you get the company of this damsel that you are desiring. And Bhagavatam explains that for thousands and thousands of years, Pururava did enjoy the company of this heavenly damsel, and ultimately he felt frustration in fulfillment of his material desires. And then he came to think that what sort of opportunity did I miss by not really leveraging upon the darshan of Lord Vishnu that I had achieved. And then he again performed those austerities to get the darshan of the Lord, and now he asked for the correct boon to perfect his life, and then went back home, back to Godhead. So the point is, Shukadev Goswami is inspiring Maharaj Parikshit, and through Maharaj Parikshit, he is inspiring all of us that if we are Manishinas means those who are really thoughtful, those who are really intelligent, then we should use this particular intelligence to take benefit of the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, to take the essence out of those scriptures and perfect our lives. So specifically he is addressing Maharaj Parikshit, but that also applies for all of us, that if we are thoughtful, we should take benefit of Srimad Bhagavatam and perfect our lives. Can we think of any other verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, where the audience of Srimad Bhagavatam have been addressed or appeal has been made to the thoughtful men? Can you think? You can refer to Srimad Bhagavatam, you can refer to your notes. Is there any other verse in Srimad Bhagavatam where the appeal is made to the thoughtful men that if you are really intelligent, if you are really thoughtful, then you should take benefit of Srimad Bhagavatam and perfect your lives? Anyone wants to try? And then raise your hand once you are ready. There is a very famous verse where the speaker of Srimad Bhagavat, he makes an appeal to thoughtful men, what they should do. Maybe those who have raised their hands, if you want to answer, keep it raised. Otherwise, you can prepare your answer and then raise. Hare Krishna. Where is this appeal being made? And I would request devotees who have not spoken also to try. Don't worry about being right or wrong. Trying is important. Rohini Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in the chapter 1.1.3, it says Nigama Kalpa Tarur Kalitam. There, I can read the translation. Is it? O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls.
So here in this verse, the word that has been used is bhavukaha, bhuvi bhavukaha. That means, oh, expert and thoughtful man. That means this particular message of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is expected by Shukadev Goswami, Suta Goswami, Srila Vyasadeva, and all the previous acharyas, that intelligent men who are thoughtful, they will take benefit of this Srimad Bhagavatam and will perfect their lives. So similarly, coming back to the verse that we were seeing, Srila Shukadev Goswami is also appealing to Maharaj Parikshit that if you are a manishi, if you are a manishinaha, a thoughtful person, then you would take the essence. Although I am explaining you so many different paths, I have explained you about jnana, about Ashtanga Yoga, and now I am explaining you for those who are desirous of material desires. But if you are Manishina, not that all the notes are for each and every personality. Those type of instructions are given for a very, very specific set of personalities who want to achieve a very quick fix. And while achieving that quick fix, they are ready to suffer the longer duration of time that they would need to remain in this material world. So it is not that this catalog of demigod worship, it is applicable for anyone and everyone, even for the devotees. Yes, it is applicable if you want to accept it, but then we have to be ready to remain in this material world for a very, very long period of time. So we will see what is advisable for a person who is manishinaha, who is really thoughtful and intelligent. So then the question comes that if these are mentioned as the recommended paths, as the recommended actions for persons who are materially desirous, in general, how do we understand what is a prescribed activity for what kind of person? So performing one's activities based on one's qualifications is very, very important. So these prescriptions, they apply to different classes of people and we can't take it as a absolute. What is absolute is the conclusion that is given by the acharyas. That is to be taken by everyone. But before that conclusion, to reach to that conclusion, whatever prescriptions are given, these prescriptions apply to persons with very specific qualifications. So there is a very important verse that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 11. We won't go through all the Sanskrit. You can go through at your leisure in order to save time. So the translation goes, it is firmly declared that the steady adherence of transcendentalists to their respective spiritual positions constitutes real piety, and that sin occurs when a transcendentalist neglects his prescribed duty. One who adopts this standard of piety and sin, sincerely desiring to give up all past association with sense gratification, is able to subdue material activities which are by nature impure. So in plain English, this particular verse, Lord Krishna is explaining that different type of prescribed duties have been given for people of different qualifications. So others cannot copy them simply. Like on the right hand side, what is the first photo that is shown? A butcher. A butcher who is cutting the body of an animal in order to maintain his daily livelihood through this particular business. So if that person is doing it from generations, family generations together, then it is obviously his prescribed duty. So he would advance gradually if he gains sukruti, but it will take considerable amount of time, right? But if a qualified person who is qualified for much higher prescribed duty, say for example a devotee, he says that if killing an animal for a butcher is allowed and it is his prescribed duty, why I can't also take it? Like say for example, in the second photo, what is shown, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? What is the second picture is showing?
Adi Shankaracharya reciting Kanakadara Stotra. When he gets one gooseberry from a old and poor lady,
Yeah. So basically, in plain simple terms, to be honest, I didn't really think. I just wanted to show a photo of a brahmana begging and receiving charity, right? That is the simple thing I wanted to show, that for a brahmana to beg is considered as his prescribed duty. That is a prescription for him. But same activity, if that is desired by a kshatriya, is it allowed? It is not allowed. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we see Arjuna offering to Lord Krishna to quit the Kurukshetra war, let the kingdom be with the Kauravas, and accept the path of being a mendicant, being a beggar. But what does Krishna say? That, my dear Arjuna, you may be preferring or you may be liking that particular path of accepting a begging position, but you cannot do it because that is not your nature, right? If somebody doesn't give you a charity, you won't hesitate to even take out your sword, because that is your inherent nature of a kshatriya. So even if somebody likes a particular work, if that work is not as per the prescribed duties, then that work will not give us piety or sukruti. That work will give us sin according to the scriptures. Similarly, a particular work that may seem of a lower category, if it is coming as a prescribed work for a specific person, then by following that particular path of work, he would gain piety and subsequent gradual elevation, ultimately to the highest perfection, slowly, one step at a time. So let us see example, a very graphic example from Mahabharat of a Brahmana whose name is Kaushika. So we would see only a part of this particular story, which is relevant for our description. So what happens? There is this particular Brahmana called Kaushika living in a specific place, and when he was doing meditation, it so happened that a particular bird, and the episode calls that particular bird as the Balaka bird, one particular species. That bird drops its droppings on the head of this Brahmana who is meditating, and the Brahmana glances, looks at this bird angrily, who had just put his droppings on the head of this sage Kaushika, and the bird, it is burnt in ashes by the angry glance of this particular Brahmana. And the Brahmana is basically amazed. Oh, I possess so much Brahma Tejas that this particular bird got burned just by my looking at it angrily. So subsequently, then he goes for begging alms, and he goes to a house, begs alms charity to the house lady. And what happens is, just at that particular time, that lady's husband also comes, and the house lady becomes busy in attending to the husband, including getting him comfortable, offering him food and all. And while serving her husband, she, for some moment, she forgets that this Brahmana is standing outside at the door expecting a charity. And she, after a while, she comes out with the charity and begs pardon to the Brahmana that, my dear sir, please forgive me that I couldn't get you the charity in time because my husband came and I got busy attending to him. And the Brahmana was upset, and he looks at the lady angrily, and the lady immediately tells him that, my dear sir, look, I am not that Balaka bird who you looked at angrily and burned to ashes. Nothing will happen to me even if you look at me angrily. And the Brahmana is very startled. Hey, how come this lady knows? Nobody was around when that incident happened earlier this morning, when I was meditating and the bird dropped its dropping and I looked at him angrily and the bird got burnt into ashes. But now when I look at this lady angrily, nothing is happening to her. Why? Because she is performing her prescribed duty as a house lady, attending to the husband, serving him nicely, and also attending to her other duties, including giving alms, charity to this begging Brahmana. So, because she was properly performing her prescribed duties, Mahabharata says that no ill effect happened to her, even when Brahmana looked at her angrily. And she says that probably I am not that qualified to explain you how the principles of dharma work, but I recommend you should go to this particular butcher who stays in the city of Mithila, and his name is Dharma Vyadha. So the word Dharma Vyadha, it means that a virtuous butcher. That means a butcher by profession, he is performing his role of cutting the animal bodies and selling the meat, so on and so forth. But he is not an ordinary butcher. He knows and follows the principles of dharma properly. And the Brahmana is very startled. First, he was startled when the lady knew what happened, the interaction between the Brahmana and the Balaka bird, and now she is guiding him to go to Mithila and meet this butcher to get the instructions on dharma. So the Brahmana goes to Mithila and meets this butcher, and this butcher, Mahabharata explains that he was selling all types of meat, including that of a deer, a buffalo, birds, so on and so forth. And the Brahmana feels very uncomfortable that this is a obnoxious activity, that you are cutting the bodies of these animals and selling the meat. And the butcher says, I think I know you must have been sent by that particular house lady. And the Brahmana is startled. Hey, what kind of advanced people are these? I was thinking I was the one who is advanced, but that house lady already knew what had happened with me. And this butcher, although such a ordinary man performing such obnoxious task, he knows that that house lady might have sent me to him. And the butcher says that probably this particular place is not the right place, my dear sir. I will definitely guide you the way the lady has recommended, but you have to give me some time. Let me finish cutting this meat and selling it, and I would take you outside this place, and then we will discuss what you came here for. And the Brahmana, although seeing a very contrasting scene in front of him, the butcher cutting the meat at the same time speaking wisdom, he waited outside patiently. And the butcher finishes his task and then takes Brahmana to his home. And when Brahmana goes home to the butcher home, the butcher introduces him to his parents and says that all the wisdom I have got in my life is ultimately coming from my parents, and my father was also a butcher. And the Brahmana is further startled. So we will just refer to this story to hear from this butcher how does true dharma work. So I would request one of you, anyone else wants to read, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, who have not read at all? Usha Mataji.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah.
I will show you that part. Yes, read this particular part, Mataji, highlighted one.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. They reached the butcher's house and the Brahmana was offered arghya. Kaushika, out of his pity for the butcher, said, Dear one, I don't think the job of a butcher suits you. It pains me to see the cruel task you have taken to. The butcher said, O revered one, this job has come down to me through my family and my ancestors. I am doing my duty, and that is my dharma. In addition, I am taking care of my parents and always speak the truth. I never feel jealous of anyone else and share my earnings with others. I don't speak ill of anything or anyone. Neither do I disrespect the elders nor harm any being. I only sell the meat of dead animals, but I don't consume it myself. There is no one who does not harm animals in the world. People who don't have faith in dharma and only ridicule it end up destroying their own lives and the lives of others. Greed is the root of all sin. Just as weeds grow and cover up water in a lake, their own lives and the lives of others, greed is the root of all sin. Just as the weeds grow and cover up water in lakes, adharma grows only to hinder dharma and to make it invisible. It is only rare to find people who can wade through the filth and realize dharma. In this manner, the Buddha explained in detail the concepts of dharma and adharma.
Thank you. Thank you. So coming back to this particular story that we were referring to, what do we learn from this story, Prabhuji's Mataji's? What is true dharma or activity which brings pious credit versus something what brings sin? What do we understand? According to this, what is the conclusion? Anyone?
That performing one's activities based on one's qualification.
Correct.
And
will bring piety. And performing activity that is not consistent with our qualification will incur sin. So that is the conclusion. And I had written something here. How come it is not showing? Okay. Yeah. So what Shama Gopika Mataji just said is what I had written here, but I don't know how it got lost. Yeah, here. Performing one's activities based on one's qualification and specific spiritual position is what constitutes true piety. And acting against one's qualification is impiety. That means coming to the set of verses that we just learned a while ago for the Devata worship, giving a catalog of Devata worship. That Devata worship is the prescribed duty for a materialist who wants to advance slowly in his spiritual life. But for a Manishina, for a thoughtful person, intelligent person, if he is taking the path of that Devata worship, he is shooting in his leg. Basically, he is taking a path which will make him prolong his or her stay in material world for a very, very long period of time. Why? Because that person, if he is a devotee, is qualified for higher type of activity, which is devotional service to Lord Krishna. So are we all aligned, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Basically, how different types of prescribed duties have to be consistent with the qualifications of that person's. And if the person chooses a particular activity which is not as per his qualification, he would incur sin. The way we saw in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna wanted to accept the occupation of a beggar, Krishna said that don't think it will bring you glory. It will bring you infamy, which will even be worse than death. So don't take up an activity which is not as per your qualification. Is it clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, the conclusion from this discussion? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
All
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhu, there is one question. Like, if someone says that, he is an intelligent person, but then he says that, okay, I'm not ready for this devotional service now, and he wants to progress slowly, then what it will be for him, Prabhu? I mean, is it like pious or impious?
Because if a person is insisting to experience material prosperity through easier means and is willing to prolong his stay, to be honest, nothing else can be done. Krishna himself doesn't push. Who are we to push? We have to simply give him prasadam, or in a way try to get him sukruti in an indirect manner. But to be honest, we can't really push that particular person. What to speak of us? Krishna himself doesn't push. After explaining the whole Bhagavad Gita, ultimately Krishna left it to Arjuna's good judgment. He didn't say that because I told you ABC, you must do this. So if
Like we will not push, but then what is the like? Does he incur like sin for that, or is it like
obviously, see,
pious? Okay.
if person is trying to fulfill his material desires through these are karma kanda, mean ultimately devata worship and all, he would get resultant sinful reactions as well, no doubt about it.
Okay.
So we can explain what is truth, but ultimately to whether to accept that or not, we have to leave to his good free will and choice. We can't push. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Lalita. Vinod.
Actually, I could not hear your words, but what doubt I had is like in the case of Mrigari and Ratnakar, so even they were doing the same hunter's job, and then but Narada, when Narada came and he guided them not to, indulge in such activities, they improved their activities. Matlab, they became a pious people, like.
Correct.
So how could they? What the answer they gave also the same thing. Like we have been doing this, hunting job since our ancestors were doing, and we are following the same thing. But then they change their after getting advice from Narada, they change their profession, right? So
Correct.
how could they change their nature? Like
See,
it has been their profession since their
yeah, so
earlier days.
they would have had some sukruti, and secondly, purity of Narad Muni's own bhakti shakti. That Narada Muni is such a personality that even a hard-hearted, cruel hunter, a killer, his heart was transformed by his instructions. So similarly, if the person has got that sukruti, he attends to our good advice, well and good. But if a person is insisting, like if these people, if they would have insisted to continue their path, Narada Muni won't force for sure. Okay, and there have been examples of personalities who he did give a choice and they did make a choice which ultimately led to prolonging their life in the material world. But those who took up that particular instruction to their benefit, including materialists like Prachina Barhi, including a cruel-hearted hunter like Mrugari, they did benefit and immediately went to a higher destination. So the point is, giving good instructions is not a problem, but whether that person accepts it, it totally depends on his or her free will. That can't be pushed. Is
So
that
it's
all?
not a sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bharat. So it's not a thumb rule, like you should be following the same as per your what you have been doing for all these years. So you should not be continuing if it is
Correct.
if it's advised like it is not right, then you should be able to give up.
Yeah, you should be able to give up for something which is higher, not for something which is degrading. Okay, like say for example, the other way around, when Arjuna was seeing out of his false compassion, Krishna did not appreciate and Krishna did not advise him. He clearly told him, it will degrade you, it won't uplift you. He was asking to take up something which was not consistent with his qualification. And Krishna cautioned him, don't do that. You will be in trouble. So giving up one's prescribed duties is preferable or recommended only if one is taking to the higher path, which is devotional service. There is this famous verse, right? Devarshi bhutap tanunam pitrunam. In the 11th canto, this is a famous verse given by Narad Muni, that one who takes to devotional service, he is already cleared of his debts. And if that higher purpose is not taken, then one has to individually fulfill all the debts that we are inheriting to devatas, our forefathers, great sages, so on and so forth. So the point is, giving up of the prescribed duties is allowed only if person is taking the higher path, not otherwise. Is that all right, Lalita Vinodini Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So then comes the next point. What is a devotee's understanding in terms of the prescribed duties to be performed according to one's qualification? Same point what Mataji just brought up. A devotee understands that Krishna is the root of everything. And if we water the root, then all other duties will automatically get fulfilled sufficiently. So this famous verse which comes in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, as supplying the food to the stomach enlivens the senses and all other limbs of the body. Simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the devatas who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Okay, so prescribed duties are automatically taken care only if we take to this path. Otherwise, better to continue with the prescribed duties if we are okay with longer duration in this material world. Is it all right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Are we still together? Anybody has any questions, concerns? All right. Hare Krishna. Yes. So now let me just go back to the verses. We go to the next verse. So this is a set of verses 3.2 to 7. Now continuation of the same, where few more prescriptions are given by Shukadev Goswami for these people of specific qualifications. Okay, so these are not absolute verses. These are specifically applied to people with those qualifications, not for devotees. Tarini Mataji, you want to let me, or 1 second. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, you can recite Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Tanvan Pitrunyajet.
Tantuh tanvan pratanyajet.
Raksha Kama Punya Janan.
Raksha kama punya janan.
Ojas Kamo Marudganan.
Ojas kamo marudganan.
Should I continue translation? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Translation in purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotees for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods. Purport. The path of religion entails making progress on the path of spiritual advancement, ultimately reviving the eternal relation with Lord Vishnu in his impersonal effulgence, his localized Paramatma feature, and ultimately his personal feature by spiritual advancement in knowledge. And one who wants to establish a good dynasty and be happy in the progress of temporary bodily relations should take shelter of the Pitas and the demigods in other pious planets. Such different classes of worshippers of different demigods may ultimately reach the respective planets of those demigods within the universe, but he who reaches the spiritual planets in the Brahma Jyoti achieves the highest perfection. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here it is mentioned that all these prescriptions that are given to worship specific devatas and all, there is one exception that is given in between. If one wants to pursue dharmartha, dharmartha means topmost type of religion. And what is the topmost religion, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, based on what we have learned in Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes? What is that?
Paro dharmo.
Yeah.
Sa vaipumsam paro dharmo. That was Jato bhaktir adokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati.
Thank you. So according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Paro Dharma is Yato Bhaktir Adokshaje, devotional service unto Lord Krishna. So if one wants to pursue the topmost dharma, then one can worship Uttama Shloka, that is Lord Krishna. And if one wants protection of the heredity, advancement of dynasty, then one can worship other devatas and so on and so forth. So in the conclusion, Srila Prabhupada writes that such different classes of worshippers of the different demigods may ultimately reach the respective planets of those demigods within the universe. So this is given in Bhagavad Gita as well. But one who reaches the spiritual planets in the Brahma Jyoti achieves highest perfection. But one who prefers to worship Lord Krishna, he would reach ultimate benefit, eternal benefit, whereas Devata worshippers, they will achieve temporary benefits. So now we come to the last two set of verses which we will discuss today, that apparently based on the catalogue that has been given by Shukadev Goswami, it seems that the material desires, if one has, then to fulfill those material desires, is it the available option or recommended path is of Devata worship? Shukadev Goswami clarifies that in these two set of verses, text number 9 and text number 10. So we would recite this. Shama Gopika Mataji, you want to recite text 9?
Hare Krishna. Text 9. Rajyakamo manon devan
Rajyakamo manundevan
nirittim tva abhicharan yajet
nirritim tva abhicharan yajet
kamo yajet sumam
kamo yajet somam
akama purusham param.
Akamaha purusham param.
Translation. One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you. Thank you. So here it is explained that after completing all the catalogue of various material enjoyment, if one does not desire any of these material enjoyments, wants to transcend above these material enjoyments, then one should take up to the worship of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So as I mentioned a while ago, it may seem that for a person who does not have material desires, the worship to Supreme Lord is recommended. Otherwise, if a person has got any of the material desires, is it that the scriptures are recommending the worship of the Devatas? So the answer is no. We will see how Shukadev Goswami explains it in terms of how even if there are material desires, still worshipping Supreme Lord is beneficial for such a person who has got material desires rather than going to the Devatas. So let's read through the highlighted part. Shama Gopika Mataji, please continue.
The Lord has proclaimed that the materialists who desire material enjoyment and thus seek the favor of different demigods, as above mentioned, are not in control of their senses and so give themselves to nonsense. One should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment, being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is clearly defined herein that the persons impregnated with different desires have different modes of worship, but one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. And this worshipping process is called devotional service. Pure devotional service means service to the Lord without any tinge of material desires, including desires for fruitive activity and empiric speculation. For fulfillment of material desires, one may worship the Supreme Lord, but the result of such worship is different, as will be explained in the next verse. Generally, the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. The conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for material enjoyment, and for this, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described here as Param, or beyond anything material. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here, Prabhupada is explaining in the last part of purport that how Krishna deals with a devotee who has got material desires. How does he deal with devotee? He would arrange in such a way that that person's desires are fulfilled, but he would also arrange that next time the person's heart is fulfilled in such a way that next time he does not come to the Supreme Lord for some material motive, for some material desire. That means, along with the fulfillment of those material desires, what the person may have desired, Krishna also arranges to properly cleanse the devotee's heart. So let us see some examples. So this we just read. So we proceed. Yeah, there is a beautiful verse that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:9-27, and I have mentioned it is very important to read through the purport of this verse. So let us see this verse once. I would request a devotee. Murli Prabhu, you want to read or you have some question?
No, I wanted to read, Prabhu. Yeah.
5:9-27. 5:19, sorry, not 9. Let me just 5. It should be 19. 5:19. Let me just correct it here. So, yes, Prabhuji, continue with the translation.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfills the material desires of a devotee who approaches him with such motive, but he does not bestow benedictions upon the devotees that will cause him to demand more benedictions again. However, the Lord willingly gives the devotee shelter at his own lotus feet, even though such a person does not aspire for it, and that shelter satisfies all his desires. This is the Supreme Personality's special mercy.
So please
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
purport and the translation very well, Prabhuji's Mataji's. This is very important to understand how Krishna takes care of his devotees who have got material desires. So what is mentioned here? That Krishna will bestow benedictions, but he will bestow in such a way that devotees' material desires are purified, that devotee does not hanker for similar types of things in future. He purifies the devotee's heart. He gives him the shelter of his own lotus feet along with fulfillment of those desires. So the purport will make it more clear. Purport, Prabhuji, Murli Prabhu.
Yeah, it's like continuing the verse 10 only, isn't it, Prabhuji? This one?
Yeah. So 10 will also
Yeah.
get. Yeah.
Okay. The devotees mentioned in the previous verse approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead with material motives. But this verse explains how much devotees are saved from these desires. Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udarati tiv, तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन यजेत पुरुषामं param. Yeah? Whether one is freed from all material desires, is full of medicinal desires, or desires to become one with the Supreme, he should engage in devotional service. In this way, not only will the devotee desire be fulfilled, but the day will come when he will have no other desires than to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. One who engages in the service of the Lord with some motive is called Sakama Bhakta, and one who serves the Lord without any motive is called the Akama Bhakta. Krishna is so merciful that he turns a Sakama Bhakta into an Akama Bhakta. A pure devotee, an Akama Bhakta who has no material motives, is satisfied simply to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6.22. Yamam ladbhava chaparam labham manyate nadhaikamam tatah. If one engages in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, he does not want anything more. This is the biggest stage of devotional service. The Lord is so kind even to Sakama Bhakta, a motivated devotee. Then he satisfies his desires in this way, not only will the devotee receive benedictions,
Sorry, we lost you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I lost for a minute, but I think I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
I'm having troubles with my connection, but I'll try, Prabhuji.
Otherwise, request other devotee, don't worry.
You
Let
can
me,
request what is
I
Prabhuji.
will do, don't worry. If one engages in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, he does not want anything more. This is the highest stage of devotional service. The Lord is so kind even to a Sakama Bhakta, a motivated devotee, that he satisfies his desires in such a way that one day he becomes an Akama Bhakta. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, became a bhakta with a motive of getting a better kingdom than that of his father, but finally he became an Akama bhakta and said to the Lord, Swamin Kritarthosmi Varan na yache. My dear Lord, I am very satisfied simply to serve your lotus feet. I do not want any material benefits. Sometimes it is found that a small child eats dirty things, but his parents take away the dirty things and offer him a sandesh or some other sweet meat. Devotees who aspire for material benedictions are compared to such children. The Lord is so kind that He takes away their material desires and gives them the highest benediction. Therefore, even for material motives, one should not worship any one other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must fully engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that all his desires will be fulfilled and at the end he can go back home, back to Godhead. This is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22, 37, 39, 41 as follows. So the point is, the example is given just like a child who may be attached to lower types of enjoyment like eating dirt, for example. So the parents, they don't ask the child not to eat the dirt. What do? They give the child a an eatable which is much more delicious, like sandesh, for example. After having eaten that particular sweet meat, then the child is no more attracted to lower types of items like eating dirt, so on and so forth. So after eating sandesh, that desire to eat dirt, it is gone from the child. So because he has got a higher type of enjoyment. So similarly, Lord Krishna also gives a devotee a higher type of enjoyment by which his heart will be cleansed of the desire for lower type of enjoyment. And Srila Prabhupada quotes a very relevant verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let us see the translation. A devotee may desire something other than service to the lotus feet of the Lord. But if he engages in Lord Krishna's service, Krishna gives him shelter at his lotus feet, even though he does not aspire for it. What does the Lord think of such a devotee? It is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Lord says, he is engaged in my service, but he wants the benefit of material sense gratification. Such a devotee is like a person who asks for poison instead of nectar. That is his foolishness. But I am experienced. Who is saying this? Prabhuji's Mataji's? Krishna is saying this. Krishna is thinking for such a devotee. But I am experienced. Why should I give such a foolish person the dirty things of material enjoyment? It would be better for me to give him shelter at my lotus feet. I shall cause him to forget all material desires. If one engages in the service of the Lord for sense gratification, the result is that he ultimately gets a taste for serving the lotus feet of the Lord. He then gives up all material desires and wants to become an eternal servant of the Lord. So that means Krishna gives him such kind of higher test that the person automatically is able to give up the lower type of test, and that higher test is rasa or engagement in Lord's service, in the service of Lord's lotus feet. And when that test for engagement in Lord's service develops, then the person no more wants to desire lower form of enjoyment. This is how Krishna handles. So ultimately, Shukadev Goswami's conclusion to this particular discussion is this verse number 10, which is a very famous verse. Srila Prabhupada quotes it many times, many different places in Bhagavatam. Like we just saw one quote in 5:19:27. So we will recite this verse once, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. I will request a devotee. Anyone who has not recited, Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji, Hare Krishna. You want to recite, Mataji? Or anyone else who have not recited?
Prabhuji, can I?
Yes, Rohini Mataji. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Akama sarvakamo va.
Akamo sarvakamo va.
Mokshakama udarah-dhi.
Mokshikama udaradhihi.
Tivrena bhakti yogena.
Tivrena bhakti yogena.
Yaje, one second. Yajeta purusham param.
Yajeta purusham param.
Translation.
Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Prabhupada Ki Jai. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji. So Shukadev Goswami's conclusion to this particular episode of Devata worship is that even if a person has material desires, what is the recommended approach? Prabhuji's, Mataji's? What he should do?
Still approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes.
Yeah. Pray Krishna.
Approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead and ask Krishna for fulfillment of desires. No problem. Krishna knows how to fulfill the desires, and at the same time make sure that fulfilling that desire does not cause further degradation. Krishna knows how to handle that. In fact, in the earlier verse that we saw in 5th chapter, one of the words that is used is Ichcha Pidhanam. Ichcha Pidhanam. That means Krishna is such a personality that he is reservoir which is capable of fulfilling the desires of everything one can desire. Only he can fulfill. So because he is Ichchapi Dhanam, he takes care of fulfilling the desires but avoids further degradation. Only he can do that. And also, in this verse that Rohini Mataji just recited, there is one very important word, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. What does Tivrena mean in this particular context? Tivrena mean, I'll cover this slide in a while. Tivrena mean worshipping only Krishna without routing our desire for fulfillment of those material wants or material desires through any other means. Any other means means not through Devata worship. Any other means not through any of the other paths, including the Karma Kanda, which may be according to the Vedas, including even the Varnashram institution that is there for fulfillment of material desires, even that is at a lower level when we compare to bhakti, including even some of the other paths of transcendental realization, including the marga, the path of jnana or path of Ashtanga Yoga as well. Why? Because we saw even those jnanis and yogis sometimes can have aspirations apart from total service to Lord Krishna. So Tivrena Bhakti Yogena means single pointed, undivided devotion to Lord Krishna without any other path being followed to fulfill our desires. If we take up this type of devotional service, one pointed, then Krishna will take care to satisfy our desire, at the same time purify our heart, so that we are not left in that hankering mood time and again. Is that clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji? So now let me, Hare Krishna, any question, Prabhuji's, Mataji, so far? we need to cover a couple of slides on this verse. Can we proceed? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, in the translation, Prabhuji, Tivrena is mentioned as a great force.
Yeah. So basically, there are Srila Prabhupada's purports plus various classes that are given by Srila Prabhupada along
Okay.
with other devotees, which basically means that no other means that we take other than service to Lord Krishna, including Devata worship as well as lower forms of transcendental realization, in the path of Jnana and yoga as well, Ashtanga yoga.
Okay.
Okay. So let me now come to, this is the one of the verses giving definition of pure devotional service. Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karma anavritam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. All of us remember this verse from Bhakti Shastri, Prabhuji's Mata.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yeah. So
Yes, Prabhu.
what do the highlighted parts of the verse indicate? One which is highlighted in more dark color compared to the first two lines, which are highlighted in less intensity colors. What do
Uh,
the, yes, Mataji.
favorable to Krishna. We have to, I mean, do service which is favorable to Krishna, then it is like pure devotional service.
Correct. That is true, but these are which type of characteristic, Shama Gopika Mataji? Which what?
The first ones are other means of devotional service, and the second, the highlighted, darkly highlighted, is the pure devotional service.
Yeah, so as such, this is whole definition of pure devotional service, but your answer is close. The dark color are the primary characteristics of pure devotional service. We remember the primary characteristics and the secondary characteristics in the Bhakti Shastri slides. So the highlight dark color, third and fourth line, these are the primary characteristics. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. Anukulena means favorable to Krishna, and Anushilanam means following the path that is shown by the authorities, by the predecessor acharyas, etc. These are the primary characteristics of pure devotional service. And secondary characteristics is whatever other desires may be there, they would be purified. Okay. Ultimately, the only desire that would remain is pleasure of Lord Krishna. And Jnana Karmadi Anavritam means such pure devotional service is free for desire for Jnana and Karma. Karma means basically personal enjoyment. It is free of all that. It is only meant for pleasure of Lord Krishna. So coming back to this specific point that we were discussing, that important is to worship Krishna. This is secondary. Okay, this would gradually come. That means the other material desires, even if we have, gradually they will be purified by Lord Krishna's grace. And even if there is some aspect of jnana and karma in what we are desiring, that will be cleansed by the mercy of the Supreme Lord Krishna. What we need to be first be careful about, that our service to Lord Krishna is favorable, and our service, our devotional service is being rendered following the footsteps of predecessor devotees, the Mahajanas, and so on and so forth. So point is, even if we have got material desires, better to worship Lord Krishna. He would deal with the desires in such a way that our heart will get purified and it won't cause further degradation. Whereas if we go through the Devatas route, it would prolong our stay in the material world. And there are so many examples we can quote. And one example I've quoted of a devotee in Chopati temple who is a brahmachari now. And he was a sports person, a cricketer, but there was a duel going on in his heart, because when he started attending the devotional programs by devotees told him either he has to choose cricket or he has to choose Krishna. And because he was a passionate sports person, giving up cricket was difficult for him, but at the same time, his natural inclination and attraction as a part and parcel of Lord Krishna he didn't want to give up devotional service as well. So then this devotee approached this person, sports person, approached a devotee, and who is a very famous preacher in our movement, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. And he told Gaurang Prabhu that I like playing cricket so much. It is like my life and soul. I have grown up playing this and I aspire to represent India if everything goes as per the plan. And Prabhuji did not ask him to give up his cricket. What Prabhuji told him? That no, you play for Krishna and then aspire to represent India or whatever, that is fine. But play for the pleasure of Krishna. And this one particular instruction totally changed the outlook of this particular person. Are that I can also play cricket to please Krishna. Then gradually the purification happened, and subsequently he decided to join the ashram itself. And Prabhuji obviously didn't stop him. But point is, he did not put that as a condition to join devotional service, that you must give up that particular desire, which may be material desire, fine, but that is not a necessary criteria for one to take up devotional service, giving up of the material desires. Okay, having
I have a question.
Let me just complete, Prabhuji, I will give a chance. So having material desires is not a disqualification for anyone to take up Krishna consciousness. There are so many multiple examples, just one we have quoted, but, and this is a verse we also quote to outside world whenever we talk about Krishna, that to become a devotee of Krishna, it is not necessary that one should have total cleansing of the heart. Bhagavad Gita says there should be some piety. That what is that verse? Tesham antogatam papam jananam punya karmanam. That the papa, it should be clear to an extent, and some type of piety should be there. That is definitely helpful, but it is not required that person is totally cleansed. It is like saying that I will go to doctor when my body is totally cured of all diseases. Boss, you go to doctor taking the medicine, heart, the disease will get cured, right? So similarly, you come to Krishna, desires will get purified, but total purification is not the prerequisite. So now we will open the floor for discussion. Murthy Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, just wanted to know, how does one play for the pleasure of Krishna?
How does one? See, basically what we are trying to say, that giving up that particular desire is not a prerequisite for that person to take up Krishna consciousness. Whatever, so that is definitely a material attachment, no second thought about it. Okay, but we are convinced based on the authority of the Shastras that if the person engages in service to Lord Krishna, his purification of heart will definitely happen. That is 100% conviction based on the Shastra. And Krishna, let Krishna decide what is good for that person. So do we say that if a person becomes an international cricketer, he can't be a devotee? Definitely. Person in any walk of life. When the war in Iraq was going on, there was a big news of one particular devotee, initiated devotee. And if I'm not wrong, that devotee was a disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, fighting in the US Army on the side of US forces against Al-Qaeda and so many militants. So how that Prabhuji used to keep a diary, that how during that tough time when there is no guarantee whether the person will be alive the next day, how he practiced his devotional service, even that particular position. So the point is, no material constraint can be a restriction, can be an obstacle on the path of devotional service. If a person is determined, as long as we are not breaking the regulative principles, as long as we are not doing that, the other occupations cannot be a deterrent or obstacle in doing devotional service. And secondly, Krishna is the one who is handling the purification. So he can take the right decision, how much detachment to give and all that. Is that all right, Murthy Prabhuji?
Prabhuji, can I add one more point here?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Prime example, Prabhuji, Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
Is a big Krishna Bhakt. And then if you have listened to his statement speaking to Prime Minister Modi on why he performed on one particular day, it's inspiring.
It's good. It's good that both he and his good wife both are showing interest. So that is very nice. And so the point is, we don't want to stop anyone. And now question might come that what about those who are grossly breaking the regulative principles? Of course, we don't appreciate that, neither we condone that, but we don't stop those persons if they want to render devotional service. Say, for example, tomorrow, a meat eater or a drunkard, a smoker, or even if somebody who is the owner of a tobacco company, he comes and wants to render some service, will we block him just because he is the owner of a tobacco company? We will explain to him that, sir, this particular occupation that you are doing, it can incur this particular reaction. But whether to accept that or not, we will leave up to that person. But that alone should not be a blocker for us to stop that person from rendering devotional service. Is that all right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. Are we together?
Yeah, what you are saying is the activity may not take precedence, but it may go concurrently.
Yeah. And we don't, while it is going concurrently, we don't condone that. Condone means, what is the parallel word to condone? Similar word? Condone? Can anyone?
Criticize or make it look like a
support.
Yeah.
CONDONE. Condone means we don't support that activity. We tell him black and white, this activity is not correct. Okay. But because of that activity, we don't block somebody's devotional service. Very simple. Okay. And that. Yes, Murthy Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhu. Understood.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And that famous example, all of you might.
Even various musicians, Prabhuji, they fall in these categories, right?
Yeah.
Those who
judge anyone. There are so many types of people. Like if you ask
dancers, musicians, they all come in this part category.
I would say I come in this category. Can any one of us that totally free of material desires? Not at all.
No.
Full of material desires. But good thing is that we want to purify those desires. That's why we are here. We want to cure our disease of material desires. So at least that is good aspiration. Hare Krishna. Any other question, comments, thoughts, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. This is a very, very important point to understand, not just for outside people, explaining Krishna consciousness to them, but to be rightly situated and convinced in our own devotional service. We should be very realistic where we stand, and we should be convinced how we have taken the right path by choosing Krishna consciousness. So it's not an idealistic path that you must be all perfect, only then you can practice. Hare Krishna. So sorry for taking slightly longer. If there are any questions further, we can take in the next session, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Can we conclude today? Anyone has any other points? Hare Krishna. All right.
Prabhuji, do we have exam?
Yes. So next Sunday, if all of you are okay, then we can keep unit test for chapter number 2. If
next week.
Next week, yeah. Okay. And
Prabhu, week after that is better because of the festivities.
Yeah, we will keep the backup slot, Murthy Prabhuji, don't worry. Okay. Because I don't want to extend it too long where devotees start forgetting. So those who can't attend next week, we will keep the backup slot. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, thank you, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Vamcha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnav Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And wish you all a very, very happy Radhashtami tomorrow. Please do attend temple program. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Thank
happy
you.
Radha Ashtami, Prabhu.
Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Before week, I have not network. The network problem is there. Half session I attend the
Okay. Recording Mataji. Okay.
attendance is not.
Attendance, Rohini Mataji.
I want attendance from the before
on the chat. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
You got
Thank
it, Vandita Mataji?